संस्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। So, we'll be continuing our discussion on Sri Ramakrishna's life. Today is the 10th part. We've covered a lot of ground: his birth, childhood, his sadhana, his visions, then his marriage. Today we'll be discussing how he met many well-known people who had achieved great success in their respective fields, and all of whom were considered to be devotees of God in some way or the other. So it is a fascinating study. We will learn about not only what Sri Ramakrishna told these people, but also learn about the great achievements of these wonderful personalities. We are so satisfied with our petty lives, little job, little dollar, little family, and we think we have achieved everything. So learning how these great people have achieved so much is an eye-opener, their noble qualities. Then we'll also see what the master thought of them, and in some cases also the conversations which took place between these personalities and Sri Ramakrishna. So first, the question is bound to arise that why did, in most cases we will see that the master himself went to meet those people. That is something noteworthy. Sri Ramakrishna, of his own accord, he went to meet them. So why did the master do this? Of course, we can only guess upon what some people have written about his life. So one reason may be that Sri Ramakrishna wanted to compare his own spiritual experiences with those of other spiritual people. In one of his lives, it is written, he first visited them, urged by that overwhelming thirst for God, which made him always ask himself, are there no more of his wells which these people have found and from which I have not drunk? So this is a poetic way of putting it. So maybe these people have seen some aspect of God which I have not seen, or which I did not know. Of course, we know that is not at all possible, because there was no one to compare with Sri Ramakrishna in the spiritual realm. So some conversation will also give us an idea about why the master visited them. The master, when he went to Keshav Chandra Sen, the great Brahmo leader, he asked him, Keshav was sitting with his followers, so master asked him, is it true that you gentlemen have had a vision of God? I want so much to know what it is like. That's why I've come to see you. Then when he wanted to visit Devendranath Tagore, a very famous personality, father of Ravindranath Tagore. So he told Mathur, take me to Devendranath Tagore. Why? He said, I have heard that Devendranath Tagore thinks of God. So I would like to see him. So these people had a special manifestation of power in them. They are all very great. So about this manifestation of power, Sri Ramakrishna has said, can all human beings ever possess power to the same degree? No, it cannot be. Hmm. God, no doubt, dwells in all beings as the all pervading spirit, but the manifestations of his power are different in different beings. Hmm. And he says on another occasion, according to the Gita, that is the Bhagavad Gita, a man who is honored and respected by many people possesses a special power of God. Hmm. So when he went to Vidyasagar, Vidyasagar also asked him, has God given some people more power and some less? Then Sri Ramakrishna said that if there were not different manifestations of his power, then why have I come to see you? Hmm. Have you grown two horns on your head? No, I have come to see you because you're a great person. And great means what? Great means that same infinite power lies behind every one of us. So, who is great? Great means one who succeeds in manifesting that power by hard work. That is the thing. Power is there, like when we go to the gym and all. So when we start, we maybe start with those weights, 20 pounds like that, and then we move to maybe 30 or 40 pounds. So what is happening? The muscles are the same. The muscles already had that power to lift that heavier weight, but practice, practice and hard work makes it manifest. So these people, through hard work, sadhana, they have manifested more of God's power. And another reason, which of course the master did not mention, but because he was humility incarnate, one of the most important reason may be because he wanted to guide these people. He knew that they are already on the path to God. So he wanted to guide them, give them instructions so that they may attain fulfillment in their spiritual lives. But this process of guidance, we should not think that Sri Ramakrishna thought, oh, let me guide them, I am superior. Not at all. He was just an instrument of the Divine Mother. Divine Mother told him, yes, you go and meet those people. It actually happens. Like when Bhairavi Brahmani came to Sri Ramakrishna, she said that Divine Mother has told me to meet two people. One was another person and one was Sri Ramakrishna. So these very great, we cannot even imagine those things, but these are very not ordinary people, so they receive direct guidance from God. So it's a wonderful journey when we will learn so many things about these wonderful persons and also what Sri Ramakrishna told them. And there are wonderful photographs also. So let us start this journey. Let us start with the master's meetings with the leaders of the Brahmo Samaj. From the word Brahman comes the word Brahma. So Brahmo Samaj, you can say that connected with Brahman or something, any other derivation you can do. Now, Raja Ram Mohan Roy, 1772 to 1833, is considered to be the father of Indian Renaissance. He was so great by many historians. He founded the Brahmo Samaj in 1828. So I will just start with our photographs. You can see it's a painting of a wonderful painting, you can see. So naturally, Sri Ramakrishna never met Raja Ram Mohan Roy because he passed away even before Sri Ramakrishna was born. Hmm. Now, according to Ram Mohan Roy's monotheistic philosophy, God is personal and without form, but with attributes. That is the belief of the Brahmo Samaj. They say God is without form, He does not have any form, but He is with attributes like He is all powerful, all good, all blissful, all these things. He is not nirguna like in the ultimate Brahman, higher Brahman of Advaita Vedanta. There, Brahman is nirguna nirakara, but they say no. God is without form but with attributes. And the Brahmo Samaj was very popular at that time. It was open to all without regard to religion or race. And its international appeal was a sort of rival to Hinduism because it had some, revolutionary beliefs. Moreover, it was not purely spiritual, it was also involved with social reforms, like abolition of child marriage and, abolishing that sati custom. It was such a horrible custom. If someone's husband passed away, the wife was burnt alive. I mean, we cannot imagine something barbaric, more barbaric than that. So all these they tried to do, but although Sri Ramakrishna could not meet Raja Ram Mohan Roy, he met Devendranath Tagore. First, I will show you another photograph of Ram Mohan Roy. That is a stamp which Indian government had brought out in his honor. He was such a famous personality at that time. So now we come to the great Devendranath Tagore, who was the head of the Adi Brahmo Samaj. Adi means the first one, because later Brahmo Samaj was divided, as we will see. Keshav Chandra Sen formed his own, denomination sort of, and so this was the first Brahmo Samaj. So it was called the Adi Brahmo Samaj. It became known as the, and Keshav's came to be known as the Nava Vidhan. That is the new dispensation. So this is Devendranath Tagore. He was revered as a Rishi. So before his name it is given that Rishi Devendranath Tagore. He was so much honored. And it is interesting to note that Devendranath Tagore was a classmate of Mathur Babu. Yeah. So that is why maybe Sri Ramakrishna told Mathur to take him to Devendranath Tagore, and Ramakrishna and Mathur both visited him together at his Calcutta residence. So this much about Devendranath Tagore. We all know about his great son Rabindranath Tagore. Now we come to the most popular leader of Brahmo Samaj at that time. He was really famous. He had also met Queen Elizabeth, and that time it was, a great honor. So this was, as you know, Keshav Chandra Sen, who had been a member of the Adi Brahmo Samaj and previously Devendranath Tagore's right hand man. He was very. So this is the photograph you can see of Keshav Chandra Sen. But in 1868, he broke from Devendranath and formed the Navavidhan Brahmo Samaj, in which he introduced various reforms and also the ideal of Christ. He was very much impressed with the Christian religion and Christ. Now, Keshav was not only a charismatic speaker, but a very, very sincere spiritual aspirant. In 1870, he also had gone to England, where Queen Victoria received him in audience, and he also impressed the English people with his great oratory powers. So Keshav's magnetic personality drew a large number of people, many young persons also, and many of Sri Ramakrishna's disciples were also members of Keshav's Brahmo Samaj. Even the great Swami Vivekananda. And of course also Swami Brahmananda. They were all members of the Brahmo Samaj. So actually Brahmo Samaj believed in a formless God. So once Swami Brahmananda was visiting a temple, so Swamiji saw that. He said, "You are a member of the Brahmo Samaj, so you should believe in a formless God. How are you visiting a temple? So why do you be in the Samaj if you don't believe in its principles?" Then Brahmanandji got unnerved, so Sri Ramakrishna told Swami, "You let him be. Let him do what he likes." Yeah. So, so interesting things. And another photo of Keshav I'll show you. Another photo. So in 1875, Sri Ramakrishna went to see Keshav at Jai Gopal Sen's garden house, where Keshav was conducting a retreat with his followers. And Sri Ramakrishna told him, "People tell me you have seen God, so I have come to hear from you about God." And they started conversing. During the conversation, Sri Ramakrishna went into Samadhi. No one had ever seen such kind of thing. Where will you find such a person? So naturally Keshav and his followers had never seen this kind of thing, let alone experience. So overwhelmed, Keshav witnessed how a person could really become merged in God. That extraordinary state, Keshav was fortunate to see many, many times, not once, because afterwards he associated very closely with the master. And of course, Keshav was also impressed by Sri Ramakrishna's childlike simplicity, purity, sincerity, humor, and he came to realize that Sri Ramakrishna possessed tremendous spiritual power. Then he even started writing about Ramakrishna in his magazines, and he introduced the people of Calcutta to the saint of Dakshineshwar. In fact, it was Keshav Chandra Sen who first preached Sri Ramakrishna. That is, he first started to propagate the teachings of the masters. And he also incorporated some of the master's ideals into his Navavidhan Brahmo Samaj, or the new dispensation. So Sri Ramakrishna, of course, he was very fond of some innocent fun and all that. So once he said to Keshav, Keshav was such a famous orator, so he said to Keshav, "You delight so many people with your lectures. Now, I want to hear your lecture. Please expound something for me." So Keshav replied humbly, "Sir, am I to sell needles in a blacksmith shop? That is, carrying coal to the new castle?" So he knew that Sri Ramakrishna was far greater, and he had to learn from the master. So in course of time, Keshav became extremely devoted to the master, and the master also became very fond of him. So this is a photograph of Keshav and his followers. So when Keshav became very seriously ill, the master had gone to see him also, and just after the master visited him, after a few days, Keshav passed away. And when Keshav passed away, Sri Ramakrishna suffered a great shock. He was so fond of him. He wept bitterly for his loss, and he could not leave his bed for 3 days. He was so much grieved. Afterwards he said, "When Keshav passed away, I felt as one of my limbs were paralyzed." So from this we will get a glimpse of the great love he bore towards Keshav. We think that spiritual persons, they don't have any heart and they are heartless. What we call love, they don't have any love. Actually, the opposite is true. They feel much more. Our feelings are shallow, but they feel in great depth. That is why, realizing that tremendous misery in the world, they try to find a way out. So anyway, that is a different thing. So Sri Ramakrishna also influenced some other Brahmo leaders like Shivnath Shastri. I'll show you a photograph. This is Shivnath Shastri and Vijay Krishna Goswami. Vijay Krishna Goswami especially became very devoted to the master. So I'll show you two photographs. One is Vijay in his young age. This one, and this is in advanced years when he became a great teacher himself. So later many disciples also Vijay Krishna Goswami made, but he was not like ordinary gurus. He was really a man of very, very great spiritual achievement. So just a small conversation between Vijay Krishna Goswami and the master. In the gospel you will find his name coming so many times. Vijay Krishna Goswami visited the master many times. So one question with which we can connect, Vijay asked the master, how can one see God? The master said, one cannot see God without purity of heart. So what has made the heart impure? The master explains, through attachment to worldly things, the mind has become stained, covered with dirt, as it were. A magnet cannot attract a needle if the needle is covered with mud. Wash away the mud and the magnet will draw it. Likewise, the dirt of the mind can be washed away with the tears of our eyes. This stain is removed if one sheds tears of repentance and says, ask praise to God for purity of heart. Then God, who is like the magnet, draws to himself the mind which is like the needle. And once that happens, the devotee obtains the vision of God. Of course, very easy to say, but we all know very difficult to do. So, this much about the leaders of the Brahmo Samaj. Of course, Sri Ramakrishna's influence on the Brahmo Samaj and his meetings with Keshav itself could form a topic of a separate talk. There is so much to know about that. So this much for now, and now we come to other great leaders. A very great leader at that time, of course not during the time of Ramakrishna, he started preaching afterwards, was Dayananda Saraswati. So I'll show you a photograph. In his young age, Dayananda 1824 to 1883. Actually, he passed away even before the master. Why? Because he was poisoned. Yeah, it was a very tragic. Somebody, gave him a drink in which he mixed glass. So he suffered terribly. This is the world when these great people are tortured like this. Anyway, so Dayananda Saraswati was an Indian philosopher, social leader, and as most of you know, he was the founder of the Arya Samaj, a reform movement of the Vedic Dharma. And his magnum opus is the book Satyartha Prakash, which has remained till today a highly influential text on the philosophy of the Vedas and clarification of various ideas and duties of human beings. Of course, like every other person, Devendranath also had some peculiar beliefs. He did not believe in idol worship or ritualistic worship and all. But he worked towards reviving Vedic ideology, that much is certain. And subsequently, the philosopher and president of India, S. Radhakrishnan, called him one of the makers of modern India. He was such an influential force, as did Sri Aurobindo. Now, such was Dayanand's genius that he started working actively in propagating this only at the age of 14. 14-year-old boy, just imagine. At that age, he was able to recite religious verses and also teach about them. And in that time, there were various debates between scholars, that one person who held a certain belief would try to establish his belief by debating with other scholars. His debates were, Maharishi Dayananda's debates were attended by large crowds. And just imagine that man's power. On 22 October 1869 in Varanasi, there was a debate. Dayananda was on one side. On the other side were 27 scholars and 12 expert pundits also. Alone, the debate was attended by 50,000 people, 50. And Dayananda single-handedly defeated all of them. So such greatness, we can just wonder. So now about his meeting with the master. Once Dayananda Saraswati visited Bengal and stayed at a gentleman's garden house at Sithi in Baranagar, that is a northern suburb of Calcutta. Although Dayananda, even then, he was a renowned scholar, he had not preached his doctrine yet, and neither had he established Arya Samaj. But the master heard about him, heard about his greatness, and he paid him a visit also. So the master himself said, I went to see him, that is Dayananda, in a garden house at Sithi. I noticed that he had developed a little spiritual power and that his chest was always red. He was in a Vaikhari state. Vaikhari means articulate state. He's always propounding his views, talking, debating, lecturing, all that. He was discussing the scriptures day and night. He was a great scholar. Sri Ramakrishna is telling, just imagine. He was a great scholar and he wanted to do something original and start a new sect, which Dayananda did later. So this is his young age photograph and another stamp in his honor. Such a great personality. You can see that Indian government had also brought out a stamp in his honor. So next we come to another great scholar whom Sri Ramakrishna met and who was also very much impressed with the master, that is Shashadhar Tarka Chudamani. So I am showing you his photograph. That time he was quite elderly, you can see. So he was also a very great scholar, 1850 to 1928. So he lived a long life. It is said that the master heard about this great Pandit from none other than Swamiji himself, Swami Vivekananda. So the master went to see him on the day of the Ratha Yatra, that chariot festival in 1885. So it is said, narrated, on June 25th, the master came with Hazra to the house of his devotee Ishan in Calcutta and spent the morning there with Narendra and Rakha, that is Swamiji and Swami Brahmananda. In the afternoon, he went to visit Pandit Shashadhar Tarkachudamani at the house of one of the Pandit's admirers in College Street. College Street, we all know, is central Calcutta. So the Pandit was a Hindu preacher of great eloquence, and it was believed that he interpreted Hinduism in a scientific manner. So for that he was widely known. Actually, it was he, when Sri Ramakrishna had cancer, he asked Sri Ramakrishna that, I have heard that great souls like you can cure yourself. Please cure yourself. Then the master told him that my mind has already been given to God. Do you want me to bring it down to this body? So Shashadhar Tarkachudamani met the master many times. In the gospel we can see. Once the Pandit also visited the master at Balram Bose's house, and the master praised him there. Sri Ramakrishna told him there are two tests of knowledge. One is a quiet nature and the other an absence of egoism. You have both. So that's high praise from Sri Ramakrishna. Many conversations took place between them, but we will narrate just one, which is also pertinent to us. So Shashadhar Tarkachudamani asked the master, does God listen to our prayers? We pray and pray and pray. Does God listen actually? So the master said, God is the Kalpataru, the wish-fulfilling tree. You will certainly get whatever you ask of him. But you must pray standing near the Kalpataru. Only then will your prayer be fulfilled. And you must always remember one thing, God knows our inner feeling. A man gets the fulfillment of the desire he cherishes while practicing sadhana. As one thinks, so one receives. So we may think that we want God, we are praying so much, but God knows what we really want. So if we don't get God's vision, we should know we don't really want Him. So this much about this great Pandit. Now we will come to another great personality who was not a spiritual person in that sense, but nevertheless a very famous and a very great person. Just I will show you an example of his writing so we can know. He was someone whom Swami Vivekananda praised as a genius. Swami Vivekananda himself said. Who is that person? That person is the famous poet and playwright, Michael Madhusudan Datta. Yes, show you the photograph. Michael Madhusudan Datta, 1824 to 1873. So like Swami Vivekananda, he also did not see 50. He passed away when he was very young, just 49. A very great poet and playwright, he is considered one of the pioneers of Bengali literature. Also considered to be the first great poet of modern Bengali literature. So Michael Madhusudan Datta was a dynamic but a little erratic personality, but there is no doubt that he was an original genius of a very high order. He was a gifted linguist, and see how many languages. He studied English, Bengali, Hebrew, Latin, Greek, Tamil, Telugu and Sanskrit. He passed away when he was 49. Just imagine. And the great Swami Vivekananda himself praised one of his wonderful poems, Meghnad Vad, that is the slaying of Meghnad. So about Michael Madhusudan Datta, Swami Vivekananda says to one of his disciples, Sharat Chandra Chakravarti, that was a wonderful genius born in your province. There is not another epic in Bengali literature like the Meghnad Vad. No mistake in that. And it is difficult to come across a poem like that in the whole of modern European literature. This Swami Vivekananda is telling. Just imagine. About his genius, just a small glimpse. So, once Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, they were known to each other. So, he knew about Michael Madhusudan Datta's genius. So, in a just a light manner, in a jocular way, Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar told him, Michael, can you write a whole paragraph in English without using the letter E? Just he asked one question. Immediately, Madhusudan said, see, hear this. What did he say? Omitting it is as hard as making muffins without flour. It's as hard as spitting without saliva, napping without a pillow, driving a train without tracks, sailing to Russia without a boat, washing your hands without soap. And anyway, what would I gain? An award? A cash bonus? Bragging rights? Why should I strain my brain? It's not worth doing. This whole paragraph, not even a single E is there. Just imagine. I mean, what kind of brain these people had. Unbelievable genius. So, the first line I forgot. First line when he starts, when Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar says, he starts, I doubt if I can. It's a major part of many, many words. Then he says, omitting it as hard, etc. This whole passage does not have a single E. At a moment's notice, just imagine. So now just he met only once the master. So at that time Madhusudan Datta was practicing law, and actually he had undertaken a lawsuit on behalf of Rani Rasmani's estate also. So in addition to being all this, he was also a lawyer. Just imagine. So to learn the details about that case, actually he had come to Dakshineshwar temple with one of Rani Rasmani's relatives. So after being briefed on the case, then he came to know that Sri Ramakrishna was there, and then he went to see the master, and he asked the master to give him some spiritual advice. And the master also sang many songs, and he charmed Madhusudan Datta also, and also told him that devotion to God was the essential thing in the world. So, Madhusudan Datta is very much, even now, he was very much respected and honored in Bengal. I will show you his bust, which is on his grave. Actually, he embraced Christianity, so he was buried like a Christian. You can see his hairstyle and all, just like an Englishman, big mustaches and all. So this is still there. I think it is Lower Circular Road Cemetery is Anybody who goes to Calcutta can see this. So, a wonderful personality and a great genius. Now we come to a really another of one of the very great and noble persons whom Sri Ramakrishna met, who is honored throughout Bengal and also I can say throughout India for his tremendous genius and spiritual qualities also. A life from which we all of us can learn, whoever we are, in any field of life he may be. Like he was like a rishi, the great Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar. So this is his photograph. Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, 1820 to 1891. So he also, by God's grace, lived a fairly long life. And in 2004, there was a poll conducted by the BBC, and Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar was ranked 9th in the greatest Bengali of all times. A wonderful personality, a saintly person. He was a great teacher. Apart from being a teacher, he was also a translator, writer, philosopher, even an entrepreneur, and one of the greatest philanthropists. I mean, it is just legendary how he used to help people. And as a great social reformer, he strongly protested against polygamy, child marriage, and he also favored widow remarriage and was a great champion of women's education in India. As a writer, he was so great that he is known as the father of Bengali prose. Just imagine. And the title which he has, Vidya Sagar. Vidya is knowledge. Sagar is ocean. So this title he received from the Sanskrit College, Calcutta, in recognition of his great scholarship. Previously, Sanskrit was so difficult to learn from the original aphorisms. He wrote that wonderful book, Vyakran Kaumudi. All students now, without exception, have to have recourse to that book to study Sanskrit. We all have studied through that book only, whatever little we know. So, on top of all these, the biggest thing about him, the greatest quality, was that he was an extremely humble personality. Many a times, it was this part of his nature, his extreme humility, that inspired others. There are so many stories from his life which prove his simplicity and which are very inspiring. Actually, one discussion should be devoted to his life. Maybe in future we can see. So, his whole life, it is said, was one of utter simplicity, just like a saint, not even a trace of any kind of luxuries. His uniform, just one dhoti and one, that shawl and all that, and he used to wear wooden slippers, I think. But outward appearances, he looked very simple and ordered, but he was a man of indomitable spirit. They could not bend him. Man of principle. So, hearing about these noble qualities, Sri Ramakrishna, of course, we know that he paid a visit to this great person. Even at that time, Vidyasagar was far famed for his great scholarship, which justified his title of Vidyasagar. And even greater than his scholarship was his compassion, which he felt for others. So the master had heard about Vidyasagar's rare qualities and he was naturally attracted towards him. Actually, his learning was so vast that in his childhood, Vidyasagar was considered a child prodigy. When we go into detail, we can learn all about this. So it was the afternoon of August 5, 1882. Sri Ramakrishna set out for the house of Vidyasagar in a carriage with Mahendra, Bhavnath and Hazra. The party reached the first floor of the building. Mahendra introduced the master to the Pandit, that is Vidyasagar, who received him cordially. The master was in an ecstatic mood and he gazed at the Pandit, that is, gazed at Vidyasagar as though he already knew him. The master was in ecstasy, and in that state he sat down on a bench. So this I am reading from the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. Vidyasagar ordered some drinking water, and learning that Sri Ramakrishna has no objection to eating anything, he brought some sweets and all. So Sri Ramakrishna, other devotees all took that. Then Sri Ramakrishna addressed Vidyasagar with a smile. Today I am before the ocean, that is the Sagar. Up to now I have seen only canals and streams, or at best rivers. But today I am seeing the ocean. So Vidyasagar was also a genius, you see. He said, okay, when you have come to the ocean, please take some salt water with you. So Sri Ramakrishna said, no, you are not an ocean of that kind. You are not an ocean of ignorance, but an ocean of knowledge. You are the ocean of milk, which is spoken of in the Puranas. So in this way, the master complimented him. Then about the work which he was doing, the master praised him so much. He told Vidyasagar, what you are doing is unselfish work. And you are distributing knowledge and food that is so good. All this work, it will help you to realize God if you can do it without any attachment. So this is what the master said, that what you are engaged is in very good work. If done without wanting any result, it will conduce to devotion and love for God. By working in this way, one realizes God. So what can be a higher praise? So another great person, Vidyasagar, whose stamp was also released by the government of India. A truly noble person. You can see from his photograph, you can see how simple, It was absolutely simplicity incarnate, humility incarnate, compassion incarnate. A really very great person. So much to learn from these people. Now, next we come to another genius. Another genius in Bengal at that time. He is known as the Emperor of Literature, Sahitya Samrat. Just imagine what kind of person he may be. This was the great Bankim Chandra Chatterjee. See his photograph here. So Bankim Chandra Chatterjee, 1838 to 1894. Unfortunately, it seems that he also did not live very long. But what of that? They lived. Then one life they do what 10 of us can do. Yeah, so no problem in that score. He was a novelist, poet, essayist and journalist. And one very well-known book known to all the Bengalis, that is Anandamath. So he was the author of the 1882 Bengali language novel Anandamath, which is considered one of the landmarks of modern Bengali and Indian literature. Then many of us don't know that Vande Mataram. It was he. Yeah, he has composed it, and the tune was given by the great Rabindranath Tagore. That is why that song has become so, it has turned out to be so wonderful. So this he wrote in highly Sanskritized Bengali, personifying Bengal as a mother goddess and inspiring the people who were struggling for Indian freedom. So this is considered the national song. The national anthem is Janagana Mana, but Vande Mataram is now the national song of India. Bankim wrote 14 novels and many serious, also satirical, scientific and critical treatises in Bengali. And as we have seen, he is known as the Sahitya Samrat. His works used to be, I think even now they are studied they are in the course. But of course some changes have come after our Mamata Banerjee has come, so now it has maybe decreased a little. But anyway, so I had read of some of his poems. There's Bengali, so I'm not quoting all that, but it is unbelievable genius. Just like Michael Madhusudan Datta is unimaginable what these people have achieved. So Bankim Chandra is also supposed to be the mentor of Rabindranath Tagore. So great was he. And Tagore penned in the memory of Bankim Chandra had equal strength in both his hands. What in both his hands means? With one hand he created literary works of excellence, and with the other he guided young and aspiring authors. With one hand he ignited the light of literary enlightenment, and with the other he blew away the smoke and ash of ignorance and ill-conceived notions. Sri Aurobindo wrote in his memory, the earlier Bankim was only a poet and stylist. The later Bankim was a seer and a nation builder. So Bankim met Sri Ramakrishna only once. So we'll just see the details of that. He met the master at the house of Athar Chandra in December 1884. Athar was a great devotee, deputy magistrate at that time. So Bankim asked Sri Ramakrishna, there was a long conversation, of course, just a few small portion we will see. Bankim asked the master, sir, how can one get devotion? Sri Ramakrishna, you must have yearning for God. If one weeps for God with the intense yearning of a child for its mother, one can realize Him. What will you gain by swimming on the surface? You must dive deep. The gems lie deep underwater. So what's the good of keeping on the surface? A real gem has weight. It doesn't float. It goes to the bottom. So if you want to collect the right gem, you must dive deep. So Bankim said, sir, what can we do? We are tied to a cork. Cork means, suppose someone is tied to something which floats, a tube. So poor fellow, if he tries to dive deep, what will happen? The tube will pull him up, no? So Bankim said, we are tied to the cork, which prevents us from diving. So Sri Ramakrishna did not answer directly. He said, all obstacles vanish when one remembers God. His name breaks the fetters of death. You must dive deep or you won't get that gem. So many other things were also said. So now we are coming to the end. Just three people I will mention, but we won't go into details because that will take too much time. Three other great people whom Sri Ramakrishna had met. So I'll just show you the photograph of the first one. The first is Ashwini Kumar Datta, 1856 to 1923. So, by God's grace, he lived a fairly long life. His reminiscences of Ramakrishna are very long. They are very important also. They have been published, we can read them. He was a Bengali educationist, philanthropist, social reformer, and also a patriot. A very important personality in those times. Next is Kedarnath Bandyopadhyay, 1863 to 1849. He was a very great writer. I will just show you this for those who are online. This is another photograph of Bankim. Yeah, this Bankim. So next we come to Kedarnath Bandyopadhyay. This is Kedarnath Bandyopadhyay. As we have seen, he was a great Bengali writer. And last of all, we see Hirananda Advani. Hirananda Advani was the editor of the Sindh Times and the Sindh Sudhar. So he was, I think, from Punjab. Hirananda was from Punjab, no? I think he had come to see. Sindh was which that now in Pakistan, that is Sindh. So earlier it was part of India, that was Punjab, no, at that time. Yeah. So from there he hailed. I'll show you his photo. Young person, he died very young, just 30. Just 30, but in that short time he also achieved a lot. 1863 to 1893 only. So there is a long conversation with Hirananda when he asked the master many things. One thing he asked, why does a devotee of God suffer? All these interesting questions are there. But of course, we won't go into all that. We don't have this was just a short introduction to the people whom Sri Ramakrishna had met. Just one more photograph about which you all know. Cursor gone. Can't find the cursor here. One second. So this photograph, since it is connected with Keshav Chandra Sen, we all have seen this photograph. That is the master in Samadhi, Kirtan. So this photograph was taken in Keshav Chandra Sen's house, Lily Cottage. So it's Lily Cottage. I don't know whether it is still there or not. Anyway, so this was during the Kirtan at Lily Cottage. So these are just some of the recorded, which we have the conversations, etc. on record. So that was long after, we should remember. Earlier, the master, before Mahendranath Gupta had started visiting the master, all these are mostly are recorded by Mahendranath Gupta because we see they are from the gospel. So he came much later. So before that, so many great sadhakas, so many great spiritual aspirants had visited Dakshineshwar, which if we study the great master, all those are mentioned. The names are not mentioned, but Sri Ramakrishna himself says that so many people of different sects had come to him. And he said that in my room they would used to sit, and day and night there would be discussion on Vedanta and all these. So, as Sri Ramakrishna said, when a flower blooms, bees come of themselves. Nobody has to invite them. So many people had come to visit the master. But of course, about those people, we don't have any details. But about these people with who are comparatively modern, about whom we know. So this was just a short introduction that so we learn not only Sri Ramakrishna's meeting with them, but we learn about these great lives. That is the main thing. How much a person can achieve. Human genius. It's really wonderful. And really, one of them at least Vidyachandra Sagar, Ishwarchandra Vidyasagar, I would like to devote one whole discussion to him. He was such a wonderful personality. Let's see in future whether it will be possible or not. So let us stop here for today. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.